Welcome back, nieces, nephews, everything in between and or otherwise, to this episode of Video Game Realtor. I finally landed on a name for the series, where I go through the hotspots of your favorite games to figure out which dungeon, cave, laboratory, or whatever would make the best homes. Speaking of which, make sure to check out the playlist for the rest of the series, which only has Zelda stuff right now, but I've got some ideas coming soon that I'm sure you will like. But today, we're looking at the 5 temples from Tears of the Kingdom. Those, of course, being the Wind Temple, Fire Temple, Water Temple, Lightning Temple, and, the weird one, the Spirit Temple. Now, I want to preface this by saying that we are not trying to survive here, we're just trying to live here. So resources aren't something that's going to play a massive role in how these places are ranked. They're cool to have, but at the end of the day, vibes, homeliness, and safety will be the final deciding factor. And with that, there are some rules and parameters that we will need to set. In this scenario, you will be an average, able-bodied person without access to almost any of our protagonist's links, items, or abilities. So, obviously, no Ascend, Recall, Fuse, Ultra Hand, or Auto Build. Less obviously, you won't have the Paraglider or any of the Zonai devices to help you out. But hey, you can keep the camera ability because I'm letting you keep the Parapad so that you're able to even get to some of these places, like up in the sky or deep underground. Hell, the only place that you can actually just walk to is the Lightning Temple. Which leads me to my first point. I will not be taking into consideration the overworld location because you are able to just teleport to your homes. You're welcome. But I will be factoring in weather conditions because some of these places run at some extreme temperatures that just cannot be overlooked. But on that point about teleporting, when you teleport to a temple, it's not always right at the entrance. Sometimes it's right in the middle, like with the Spirit Temple. Now, we do have to judge these places by accessibility. So where you teleport in at will be your entrance, and our point of reference for accessibility. For example, the Water Temple spawns you in on the biggest main platform, and you're unable to reach the farther floating parts, so for our purposes, we'll be basically disregarding them entirely since we aren't able to access them, and we'll rank them accordingly. And of course, we will be removing any of your unwanted house guests for you before you move in. And we'll also be getting rid of any of the previous owner's furniture, so that you're able to properly show off your own stuff. And lastly, certainly most important, subscribe, please. We're so close to 5,000 subscribers. Please consider subscribing if you do end up liking the video. We are so very close to 5,000 subscribers, and that would just be so awesome. So go ahead and leave some ideas for a celebration video for when we do hit 5,000. And while you're down there, make sure to check out Analysis Time if you're an Adventure Time fan. But enough talk, let's discuss the worst temple to live in Tears of the Kingdom. It is of course the Fire Temple, since obviously you'd burn to a crisp just by being there. I told y'all to read my comments. The Fire Temple is on extreme hot mode no matter where you go in here, on account of all the lava. Though there isn't really anywhere for you to go in this place. Thank God for that though, because this place has 5 floors and a very confusing layout that I was not excited to get footage for. Though I will give this place credit where it's due, I think the architecture in this place is impressive and really beautiful, especially in this main entrance hall. And then if we go to the right from there, we have this little room with a big gong that would work nice as a bedroom if you were fireproof, and your bed was fireproof. And if we make our way to the left instead, we have this nice indoor lava pool that would be just so nice to take a dip in after a long day, if you were fireproof. But enough beating around the bush, or burning, I guess. Let's talk about the main attraction, the boss room. And without a boss, it's just kind of a big room. I guess that makes you the boss, eh? It's a big self-contained room for you to do whatever you like with. Now, if it were me, I would buy this place just for this room. I wouldn't live here though. I would turn this place into a nice high-end restaurant. With how hot this place is, all you have to do is throw your food down and it cooks itself. It would be like a hibachi place. Set up a big table in the middle there and put on a show for your guests. The staff, of course, would have to wear some fire-protected armor, and our guests would have to sign a waiver for safety. And if they want to dine with us, we could even rent out safety clothes for them to wear while they're here. I should be writing this down. But TLDR, you shouldn't live here, but you should definitely visit my restaurant. Up next on our list is the Water Temple, which sure is pretty. There is literally not much to this one, and calling it a temple is a little bit misleading, because even if you could fully access this place, there's only one indoor section, and we don't even have that. But what we do have is an amazing view of the land below us and some floating bubbles of water for all our drinkers. But on top of all of that, this entire place is in a low gravity area. So you can hop, jump, and skip to your heart's content, and then you realize that there isn't really anywhere to go or anything to do. If you guys have seen my previous videos, which you should definitely check out, you know that I view low gravity areas as a negative. As one of y'all pointed out, you would constantly need to be training in these low gravity areas to keep your muscles and bones from becoming too weak for regular gravity. So with that health risk, paired with not really having anywhere to go, I think it's fair to put it here. Though this could make for another cool restaurant location, like those places where you eat up in the sky. And for our middle of the neighborhood pick, we've got the Wind Temple. Now this place is great in a lot of ways. It's way up in the sky, so you get great views. It's made of wood and is beautifully painted, and the indoor sections are just downright cozy. Though it certainly isn't perfect, but the only real issue is that it is freezing up here, like take damage freezing. Though unlike the bird of Breath of the Wild, it isn't freezing on the inside. In all the indoor areas, there are more than enough torches and candles lit up to keep you warm and fuzzy. And if we're making the Mado comparison, you also get access to the big beautiful courtyard, or BBC. Not having access to Mado's courtyard was a big hit to its ranking, so I'm glad Nintendo rectified that. Do you guys think that they watched my Divine Beast video and then made those changes for Tears of the Kingdom? It's possible. You do only get 3 rooms, one of which would probably be pretty good for a grand dining hall. So again, I don't think this place would be great to live in, but I do think it would be an amazing Airbnb. You and some of your buddies can rent it out for the weekend, enjoy breakfast in the courtyard, have a big dinner in the dining hall, and then jump off the sides to go skydiving. It would probably cost you a pretty penny, but whatever. And our last 2 are the closest to true actual homes that you can walk around in and put a couch down and stuff. And that is, of course, the Lightning Temple. This place is big, but more like Haunted Mansion big. There are a lot of rooms in this place, but not a lot of room in these tight hallways that I struggled to light up. And I really tried, but this isn't your average everyday darkness. This is advanced darkness. And what I mean by that is, this place is coded to be dark. So if you go a certain distance away, a wall of black will just envelop the surroundings, like the blindness effect in Minecraft. But I'm gonna chalk that up as a game design thing and not actual quality of the home. And moving past the creepiness of this place, you do get a lot of room, but most of it comes from this long hallway with different rooms and pits and ugly. The real nice part of this place, and the place you teleport straight to, is the Room of Ascension, with so many stairs. On the ground floor, there's a break in the wall that allows you to move past it into this back room, which is kind of cozy. I might set up my room back there. And then up the stairs to your right is a room that could be a whole apartment on its own with all the space you get in there. There's even a section in the middle of the place, separate from the rest, that you could use as an office or a really big closet. And then on that same floor, on the opposite side of the building, there's another room there being shown on by a beam of light that is even bigger than the first room. So large, it could fit an entire office of people in it. It's seriously way too big for one person. And I tried getting rid of these items, but they just wouldn't cooperate, so whatever. And moving up to the very top of these stairs, we get yet another large ass room. Or more like 3 rooms. You can walk past these villain lair spike walls, don't worry, they don't move, into this room that's half free space and half retired dungeon puzzle. But past that, there is a spike ceiling, and this one you should be a little bit more afraid of, because the only thing keeping this thing in place is a stake that I put in the wall. You should probably get that inspected every few months, just for safety. If you are feeling brave enough to walk underneath that, you'll find this little area with a beam of light being shown from beneath out of this spinning room. Careful not to fall in, because it would be pretty hard to get a ladder down there. And with that, the tour of the Lightning Temple is just about complete. It is a bit eerie and far too big for me, with no natural sunlight to illuminate the place, but if that's what you're into, then, go for it. But if not, this place could make a lot of money as a haunted house. But our last home is truly serene and beautiful. Last house on the block is of course the Spirit Temple. Now originally I was only going to consider this higher part of the temple and disregard anything else below, because this is where you teleport in at, and the bottom would be inaccessible without a paraglider. And if I were only going to do that, it would still be a lovely little park with good space and some pretty greenery, or grayery really. And the stairs at the bottom are broken, so none of the monsters down there would be able to come up and get you. But that's all it would have been, a nice park. And it might have gone just above the water temple. But after watching back the Spirit Temple cutscenes, I remembered that this hole in the ground is where an elevator was. And now that elevator is below at the true Spirit Temple. So I decided that I'm going to bend my rules a little bit and say that ideally the elevator would be in working condition by the time you move in, so that you'd have access to both areas. And oh boy, is this bottom part the main selling point. The entire estate is surrounded by this massive pool, so you essentially get all the pluses of lakeside living without any of the animal or weather issues that would come with it. But if you are thalassophobic or afraid of deep water, then I would be wary, because while trying to get footage, I found out just how deep this water really is. When I accidentally dropped my instant scaffolding for my magnum shot into the water and it just kept sinking. So if you do decide to take a dip in the water, just think about what else might be in there with you. And also put a ladder on the side so you can get out. And I just want to go back to that elevator for a sec. Isn't it so cool that you even get an elevator in your home? I don't want that fact to be overlooked. Very cool. But let's actually get into the place now. The main area is this very high ceiling, open air loft that you can do just about whatever you want with. The only thing you really have to worry about is things falling off the edge into the water. But with the ample space provided here, that should just about never be an issue. And you know the very best part? This whole thing looks like a Pokemon arena. And finally, in the back area, we have what you could probably convert into a shed or a closet or a guest room or whatever. But unfortunately, at the time of filming this, the previous tenants are still here. They refuse to leave. Just ignore them for now. They'll be gone by the time you get here. And if you are considering to live here, then I certainly suggest vacuuming up all the sand back here. I don't know what these guys were thinking. But with the privacy, elegance, and size of this place, I feel confident in saying that the Spirit Temple is the best temple to live in Tears of the Kingdom. But hey, what do I know? Should the Lightning Temple have gone lower because I used a Zonai stake for the spike ceiling? Let me know in the comments. And while you're down there, tell me what your personal favorite temple to live in would be. I like the Wind Temple, though it would take some time to get used to that cold. And hey, you might as well subscribe if you like the video and you want to see more of them. Also, be sure to check out the rest of the series if you missed those videos. And for the very last shameless plug, make sure to check out Analysis Time if you love Adventure Time, even half as much as I do. But with that, I've got nothing else to say, so later!